When Mary's period of purification, as required by the Mosaic law, had passed, Joseph and Mary took him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. Mary came bearing him to her family. "Mary," they said, "this is an astonishing thing. Sister of Aaron, your father was never a whoremonger, nor ever was your mother a harlot." She gestured to them and pointed to the babe. "How are we to speak with an infant in a cradle?" they questioned her. Then Jesus spoke right up and said, "I am God's servant. He has placed the book into my hands and decreed my prophethood. I came to give you wisdom and to make plain many of the issues that currently divide you. His goodness follows me wherever I go. He has instructed me to pray continuously and to give alms to the poor my whole life long. He has encouraged me to honor my mother and has driven evil and foolishness far from me. I was blessed on the day of my birth and will be blessed on the day of my death. And may peace rest on me on the day of my resurrection. Honor God by obeying me. God is both my master and yours, so do all things for his sake, for this path is truly straight." And 10 days later, 40 days after his birth, they presented him before the Lord in his temple, in accordance with what's written in the law of the Lord. Every male that passes through the womb must be given to the Lord. They also offered up a sacrifice in keeping with the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Now behold, in the Jerusalem temple there was this righteous and religious man named Simeon, who was 112 years old. He was anticipating the consolation of Israel, and the divine inspiration was upon him. And the Holy Spirit revealed to him the Lord's response, that he would not die before having seen the Lord's Messiah, the Son of God, alive and in the flesh. Simeon entered into the temple completely inspired, and the parents of the infant Jesus brought him in with them so that he could do to them as the law directs. At that moment, when his mother, Saint Mary the Virgin, cradled him in her arms, the elderly Simeon overflowed with boundless joy, for he saw the boy as a glorious beam of light. And the angels worshipped him, surrounding him as guardians around their king. And as soon as Simeon saw the child, he cried aloud, "God has come to visit his people, and the Lord has brought his word to pass." Then Simeon hurried over to Saint Mary, stretched out his hands to her, and took Jesus into his arms. After taking Jesus into his robe, Simeon kissed his feet, worshipped him, and paid his respects to God, saying, "Lord, let your servant go in peace, in accordance with your word. For these eyes of mine have seen your deliverance, which you have readied in the sight of all, to uncover a light for the Gentiles, and the glorification of your people Israel." His father and mother were amazed by the things that were said of him, and Simeon blessed them and prophesied to his mother Mary, "Behold, this child is set for the falling and rising of many in Israel, and as a sign that's spoken against. And your soul will also be pierced by the sword, so as to expose the thoughts of many hearts." And there was also in the temple a certain prophetess by the name of Anna, the daughter of Phanuel, who was of the tribe of Asher. She married as a virgin and lived with her husband for 7 years before being widowed, then lived 84 years more in the temple of the Lord, fasting and worshiping day and night without ever leaving. And at that moment she came up to them and offered her thanks and praises to God. Anna also worshipped the boy and came to share in Mary's joy, saying to those who were there and awaiting the deliverance of Israel all about him, "In him lies the redemption of the world." And after completing all that was required by the law of the Lord, they set out for Nazareth in Galilee. While in Nazareth, he nursed at the breast of his mother as any other infant would, so that he might remain concealed. And this was hidden from the heavenly realms and the gods and rulers of this earth.